Hi there, this is Fergal McGarvin from VisibleThread, and thank you all for joining me today. I hope the audio is coming in loud and clear. I am actually dialing in over mobile, and apologies for the slight delay on the start. The first order of business is to, of course, say, go Team USA. We're rooting for you over this neck of the woods, and I hope you guys come out well. Okie doke, let me start, and we'll really kind of cover out today a preview of what's coming in version 2.11 of VisibleThread for Docs. Many of you on the phone will already be customers, be using version 2.10, I hope, which came out, I guess, late last year, early this year, and our 2.11 release is really quite a large step forward, so we're very excited to share what we have got coming in that. Just order of business, in today's session, we will last for about 25-30 minutes. A couple of my colleagues are also on board, so if we have any questions, we'll try and address them. Please pop any questions using the chat facility. And in terms of kind of what we'll be doing, I've kind of gone through most of this, except to say that the recording will be available afterwards for anybody who would like to get a kind of a review of it. So we'll post that on the website, and we'll make sure we're all good on that front. Great stuff. Okay, cool. I just had a note there from somebody saying that the audio is good, which is a relief for me. Good. A couple of notes on 2.11. Again, we're dealing with some people on the call today who are existing customers. In fact, just looking at the registrants, and thanks so much for spending some time with us. I would say certainly half to two-thirds of today's participants already are customers and already using either version 2.10 or earlier releases. 2.11, for those of you who are using on-premise deployments, that means it's behind your firewall because you're using it for sensitive document analysis. What we're seeing today is a part of version 2.11. It's not the entirety of 2.11, it's a part, and it's a very interesting and exciting part that we're happy to share with you. Today's capability around extended discovery, which I'll go into more detail in a moment, is in fact already live for those with a cloud subscription. We went live with that last week. So anyone who's got a cloud subscription, if you're dealing with non-sensitive documents, you may well be in that position, already can get benefit from what I'm about to show you. For anyone with a cloud subscription, or indeed when you guys who are on premises do get the drop of 2.11, you will see a screen adjacent to folders or docs similar to the one I'm showing on the bottom. It will prompt you to reanalyze the documents, and the reason for that is that we've added a lot more data and metadata specifically around what's in the docs to help us show the views and capability that we're going to show today. So that said, enough of that. It's not very interesting preliminary notes, so we'll get to the meat of the matter. What is current discovery, and how does it play a role in VisibleThread today? As you all know, VisibleThread, or at least certainly anybody who's used the tool, is all about extracting content from documents. And we extract content from one document or multiple documents. And we do that automatically. We use natural language analysis. And today's discovery is a view that you may not be using so heavily. And the reason you may not be using it so heavily is that while it is great at extracting single words, single nouns, things like security, and the view I'm showing you here on the bottom is exactly that, it's less good at extracting things like this: liquidated damages, ISO 9000, archive data policy, concepts, credit card. These are items that are multi-word phrases. And what you're going to see today is how we've amended our views to start to automatically flag these types of concepts. And the reason we're doing that is because once we start to flag that, there are a number of use cases where you can get some fairly powerful insights, particularly around compliance between an issuing side doc and a response doc, or indeed, if you're in a marketing scenario, you may have multiple different versions of a product name across different docs, and it may not be easy to see that. I was on a call a little earlier today where we were talking about program delivery cycles, making sure that the proposal and the program delivery plan were aligned and that each of these had references to things like APIs and interfaces in a consistent way. So it's that kind of scenario that we find this is really useful for. So what exactly is extended discovery? So I'm going to actually cut to the chase and show you a set of screenshots that gives you an idea of this. Now, if we have time at the end of this session, we'll go into some live demos, and I'll use our cloud infrastructure to share with you what that looks like. So this is extended discovery in action. This view, for anyone who's familiar with the tool, is called the discovery view. It's probably a view that you kind of breeze on past today with the single noun approach. But what we're seeing here is an automatic list of concepts on the left-hand side, in this case data sensing, data visualization, data publication services, and so forth, which has not been created from a dictionary. So I'm going to say that one more time. This list did not come from a dictionary. When we create a folder and we upload a number of documents, this list is automatically created for you. And you'll see that in the context of the right-hand side, we've got a number of documents. And these documents are a combination of issuing side solicitation documents as well as a proposal. So when we see this, I'm just checking to see if there's somebody raising their hand on the call. Let me see if there's anything. Okay, cool. When we see this view, what this basically helps us understand very quickly, and it's quite powerful, is a set of potential risk indicators. In this case, immediately we've got a compliance issue. And the red rectangle shows us exactly what that compliance issue is about. We've got a list of documents on the right. The first one on the right is actually the RFP, the second is a SAL, and the third is a performance work statement. The fourth is our proposal. And the issue here is that by just looking at this view, archive data policy, which I will underscore, you did not have to enter a dictionary. You didn't know what to look for before seeing this gap, is suddenly flagged as having 3 occurrences in the RFP and 0 occurrences in our proposal. So there's a serious issue here. And when we look at the bottom part of the screen, what you see is that there is a requirement on page 116 of the draft RFP requiring us to address a need for real-time data systems. So that kind of requirement, which typically shows up in a compliance matrix, is the type of insight that we're starting to surface here. So the net effect of all of this, in honor of our soccer fans, is we get a red card. We are non-compliant, and basically we will fail and be eliminated from the pursuit. So that type of insight, that type of risk flagging is really key to what we're doing with this view. So how does this fit within your process? Well, some of you who had the, well, we had the great fortune of meeting many of you at the APMP show in Chicago towards the end of May. We talked about this kind of screen, and this screen is really looking at VisibleThread from the standpoint of where it applies to capture management, where it applies to proposal development, and so forth. And if we look at what I've just shown you and we apply it and we think about capture management, what we're saying is that we can apply this to help review the RFP and set of associated documents for items that may not be aligned with our business strategy. So basically in that context, what that really looks like is the following. So this is basically just showing you from a process standpoint, and the green boxes are those areas where VisibleThread has a part to play. I'll just focus on extended discovery today. I'll not focus on readability. I'll not focus on specific dictionary customization. So what would you do today to support that capture management aspect? Well, many of you use Goblin IQ from Deltek, and they're a wonderful partner of ours. So, you know, if you're using that, you see insights into programs or opportunities that you want to pursue, be it 8A or bigger opportunities, pre-draft RFPs and whatnot. So this is just a screenshot from FedVisOps, and we're just grabbing the content. And what I would do today is I would put that content into a folder, and immediately what I would start to see is the type of concepts that we're flagging here. So this helps you define or flag whether or not you should make go, no-go decisions, what teaming factors are putting into play. Equally, if you're downstream more in the proposal development stages and you're trying to set up your win themes, this will help you underscore and understand what win themes to emphasize within the response development process itself. So the idea here is fundamentally about discovery, and the concepts help us understand what factors might encourage us to either pursue or not pursue. In this case, liquidated damages, property damages, bonds, all of these things are something that we would want to probably check the box in the middle of the screen, extract the concepts and the context the concepts within the content and the documents, and then review that on that basis. So it's a very, very fast way to itemize those areas. And of course, as usual in VisibleThread, all of this stuff is exportable, so you can kind of get this out. A couple of quick minor points. You'll notice on the right, we've just kind of adorned the columns with the document icon, so you'll know now it's a PDF or a Word doc. It's a subtle change, but something that really helps the understanding of that matrix view on the right-hand side. Great stuff. The second area that I want to talk about then is a second usage within the proposal development cycle of this extended discovery. And this usage is really around the idea of two things, making sure that, well, three things in fact. Are we including when themes? Are we making sure that our proposal is compliant with the issuing side? And are we looking at any quality and liability issues within the context of the actual proposal itself? So I'll talk about a couple of these things using the slides. The first thing is inclusion of win themes. And here what I'm looking at is a different view. This view is now a document-specific view. The view I was looking at a moment ago was the folder view, and I'll just kind of flick back just to give you a quick sense of that. This is a folder level view where you get each document itemized on the column basis on the side, on the right-hand side. As those of you who have used VisibleThread know, of course, you can select the document on the left, just like here. This is our proposal. Or you could select the RFP itself and you get a similar view. And now you're seeing the same type of list of concepts: network protocols, critical network characteristics, network engineering. So this is our response. We have covered out and mentioned cyber network, detailed network analysis 3 times, and so forth. The group list on the right is a logical grouping mechanism where we're associating all of the items and occurrences by core theme. So we can see network is fairly heavy, 122, data is 97, pretty heavy. So as you look at this, you start to see where your emphasis would be. And just as a quick aside, when you're looking at these groups, you will see your name crop up a lot, and you will see the customer's name crop up equally a lot. So you get a very quick insight as to how much you're emphasizing your message over and above addressing the customer's need, and kind of putting the sales process in the more correct light or better light, which is addressing the customer's requirements, not saying how wonderful and great you are. So in this case, what we can ask ourselves is, are we really on message? Are we really addressing our win themes without putting in any dictionaries? And that's the key bit that you should take away from here. We do, of course, put a huge amount of store in dictionaries and maintaining dictionaries, but this is really a stepping stone to arrive at a good dictionary. And in one click, we can take as many or as few of these concepts, stuff them into a dictionary, apply them across a number of stations, and make sure that they are actually addressed. Good stuff. I'm just going to take a quick look. Somebody has the hand raised. Let me see if there's any issues going on. And chat is all good. So everybody is good. Great. Okay, so bear with me. Managing proposal compliance. This is the same kind of flow that we saw a moment ago. Are we compliant? And I use this to explain extended discovery in the first instance, but are we compliant? Are we addressing real-time data systems? Are we addressing archive data policy? From a process standpoint, that is a proposal development stage and a step that you can now apply VisibleThread to do very quickly. So it's very, very easy to make that determination. And just like we outlined before, we are seeing gaps here. And as you select the groups, you start to see more and more gaps potentially opening up. In a moment, I'm going to show you this in real live terms. And I might actually flip my view right now to go to a live demo and share a little bit more on that. Great. So here is VisibleThread working. It's the cloud version, so all of this capability that we're looking at is available to us. Now, it may kick me out if my session has expired, so let's see if it does. Okay, that's cool. I'm still logged in. That's great. So just to explain this view, for anybody who's never seen VisibleThread, here's the folder on the left, and here are 4 documents, 3 issuing side docs and 1 response doc. Again, in a marketing context, and some of our customers are working in marketing fields, these docs really would be equivalent to any of your product brochures, your product collateral, your content for magazines and whatnot. It's the same type of idea. So 4 docs, and we're interested to see, is there an alignment across the 4 docs? So I click on Discovery, and you'll see immediately that there's a view here which is showing me exactly what we saw a moment ago in terms of the actual slide deck. So you can see each doc itemized on the right. You can see contractor employees and whatnot over here on the left. This is the main set of concepts. So it's almost the concept that augments the verb. So when it says contractor will provide what kind of data needs here, and I'm selecting, you'll notice on the right, the word data. So 436 data, limited data rights, internet data rights, or registry data, data aggregation, data sensing. So these are the concepts that we saw a moment ago. And there's my idea of satellite data. I'm not remiss, we don't have that mentioned. We did, on the other hand, mention network and internet data, but we didn't talk about satellite data. We didn't mention anything about real-time data systems. So what I would immediately do is I would say, okay, that's cool. We've got a risk flagged. I would insert the discovery view early into my process. I would take that view and probably export the top grid, and we've done some rejigging of how we're doing exports, so we've kind of harmonized the way we're doing exports just with this top button. It's hopefully more intuitive. Export top grid, bottom grid, in Excel and CSV and so forth. So minor tweaks around the usability, but basically I would take that real-time data system and I would say add it to a concept list. And you can do multiple additions as well. You can flag multiple items in one click and add them into your concept list. In this case, I'm using a concept list which is explicitly designed to track Section M critical items and certain technical areas that we really want to emphasize. And to make that clear, you can see the concept tracking area over here. The discovery and concept tracking are really much more connected now. You can also see that actually we've rejigged the order of the tabs just to make that explicitly much more clear. So discovery and concept tracking really are kind of a yin and yang type scenario. As you all know from concept tracking and from dictionary management, you can always change and swap out certain dictionaries. So I can change this one to an ISO 20K or an engineering checklist or a compliance checklist or whatever it is, and we can create as few or as many as we need of these dictionaries. So the beauty now is that discovery really goes much more powerfully into the area of finding out gaps without any need to do overt dictionary definitions, and that helps on a variety of tasks. In the interest of kind of getting through this and maybe addressing any questions that people have asked, I'll spend another couple of minutes just giving you a couple of quick use cases for where we've seen this to be really very interesting. Let's look at resumes. I kind of think resumes are something that you guys, certainly in the proposal world, are dealing with a lot. You know, choosing the right resume with the right capabilities, the right clearance levels, for instance. So what I'm going to do right now, again, understand that these are multiple word concepts. So I'm going to search up here, and I'm going to look at clearance. So security clearance. I can see straight off that this gentleman over here, Cabri Mahler, has got security clearance, or so it seems. So I'll just check. And that's nice. So we can kind of see what levels of security clearance this person has. So as a very quick way to identify resumes that are worthwhile popping into the proposal, this is a pretty neat way of doing it. Equally, if I look at characteristics of past performance and what is one of those items before, we can use it for the same type of idea, a reuse library and what would be in a reuse library. Equally, if I was to look at solicitations, and this is the example of 4 RFPs side by side, what you get is a list of concepts that can very quickly allow you to determine whether you should actually pursue or indeed whether or not something is an issue. So for instance, they're talking about data. I tend to focus on data a lot, don't ask me why, but cost. You can see as I select on the right, the detail here changes. So you start to see levels of detail that up to now might have been hard to digest because you would have had to read extensive documents, and each one of these RFPs is between 100 and 150 pages. So you get a very quick sense of that. There's a final field in here that will help also as you look at compliance. We've introduced this drop-down called compliance filter. Now this has been done because as we've shown this to people, there's often been a question, well, how do I tell if something is in one doc but not in another document? In other words, explicitly show me just the gaps. So what we've done is we put in this capability which says, just show me items that are in one doc and not anything else. So in this case, the RFP, I just want to see what's in the RFP and not anything else. Now picture the scene. You've got not just an RFP or not just one response doc. You might have multiple response snippets which ultimately will become your final proposal. And in that case, you start to say, well, show me items that are in every doc, or show me items that are in just one doc and not other docs. So you see gaps opening up. So here's the result of doing that. That filtered view now shows me the number of concepts where there is no relevant existence in the rest of these docs. Financial data, unmarked data, blah, 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 other financial data. So lots of this stuff is interesting and lots of it is uninteresting. But the nice thing about the groups on the right is that you can quickly identify those clauses that are relevant to you. So here are some FAR clauses going on. And I'll just have a look at some of that and see what we've got going there. And there's a supplement clause. So you can start to open up very quickly, determining elements of what you're seeing here. Okay. The final piece that is worth mentioning is that we will be adding on more capability into 2.11, which is above and beyond extended discovery. The purpose of today was really to give you kind of a sense check and give you an insight into what extended discovery can do for you. As I say, it is live in the cloud and available today for cloud subscription customers. So at this juncture, what I might do, and I should also say that the recording of this session will be put live and we'll mail you guys on that. So let me have a look and see if there's any particular questions that have come out. And I will have a look at, where the heck are my questions? Okay, so one question is, well, it's actually a very commercial question. What kind of pricing is available for the subscription model? So the answer to that question, actually I'll do a fudge on this. The best thing for us to do is to reach out to you, and one of our sales, or one of my sales colleagues will actually talk to you and give you some insights into that. We have, and I should mention this, introduced a small to medium business offering in the last number of months. We're getting a lot of uptake on that, and it's really appealing to those of you who have less dollars to spend in terms of your BMP budget, who need the capabilities of VisibleThread. Sometimes in the cloud is fine, and just need to kind of get going on some of the capabilities that we have. So anyone who's interested in that program would be happy to take any queries, and please mail sales@VisibleThread.com. I'm not seeing too many other questions in terms of the comments. So at this juncture, what I might do is I might leave it at that and welcome any follow-up questions to myself directly, fergal.mcgovern@VisibleThread.com, or our support colleagues or our sales colleagues, and we'll be very happy to address your questions. Actually, my apologies, I've just found the question pane here. Let me just see what else we're doing here. So question from Dawn. Dawn, I hope you're well. So she's asking, does the noun view still exist? So the noun view does still exist in the sense that if I go back to the screen here, effectively clause is a single noun. So what we've done is we've augmented the previous noun view, which effectively was one-word nouns, and we're now looking at what's known as noun phrases, which means entire clause, disputes clause, clause 52. So in the past, the 239 occurrences of clause and the 11 of this clause and the 5 of that clause would all be added up, so it was less insightful and less useful in the past. We still have the acronyms capability, which we've now put in underneath the compliance filter area. So you start to see that pretty quickly. You can still sort on this, and you can still export that into the view that makes sense for you. So we view this as kind of a superset of the previous noun-specific view, and we hope that that works for you. Okay, other than that, there is one more question, it looks like. There's a hand in the air, let me just see. Okay, my apologies, so there is not any other questions. So great stuff. So look, we really appreciate your time. If there is any questions, please don't hesitate to mail me. Most of you will have my mail address, or indeed my colleagues in sales and support. And with that, all I will do is wish the best to the Team USA, and hopefully you guys will go on to win the World Cup. Okay, thanks so much, and we will catch you again.